What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Fumble Live. We are actually live this time. I'm so happy. We missed being able to talk to you guys at 11 a.m. like we normally do, but we are here, so make sure you're chiming in the chat. We'll be responding. Today we're talking about LeBron James and how he doubled down on what Draymond Green said. We're also talking about where Deshaun Watson may end up. But before we do all that, subscribe to our channel, tap the bell for notifications, give this video a thumbs up, and leave a comment below. Here's the Fumble Squad. I'm Devyn Howard. You can find me on Instagram as @Devyn Howard.
What's up, everybody? I'm Jackie Ray. You can follow me everywhere at JRay the Fanatic.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's your girl, Britt. You guys can follow me on all social media at I am Britt Johnson. I have some very sad news, probably the saddest news I'm going to have to give today, and that is there is no fan or foe this Friday, but it's for good reason. It's because I will be laying at a beach in Cabo somewhere, enjoying my life. So this is my last day this week on the Fumble. I'll miss y'all, but like kind of not really because I'll be excited to be laying at a beach. But today is also the GOAT, Michael Jordan's birthday. Happy birthday, MJ, from one of your biggest fans.
Aw, happy birthday, Michael Jordan. Also, Britt, way to rub it in that you're going to be laying on a beach while Jackie and I are over here slaving away.
I'll get tan enough for both of all of us. I'll get tan enough for everybody on the set, okay? All the vitamins.
Please do. Okay. You're not going to really have to get any tan for me because I don't tan at all. I just stay nice and pasty pale. Super cute. Okay, you guys, let's jump right in with this first need-to-know news story. It's about LeBron James and how he doubled down on what Draymond Green said. So we talked about this a little bit on our show yesterday. Draymond feels like there's a double standard between the way the NBA treats when it comes to how players are treated and how teams treat players and what teams are able to get away with. And LeBron commented on what Draymond said. He was really careful with his words. He even said that he wanted to be strategic with how he addressed the question. But he still had quite a bit to say. So I'm going to roll that clip for you, or Leo's going to roll that clip for you right now.
It's the narrative of what the league has always been. And, you know, from a team's perspective, they've controlled the narrative. They've controlled the narrative of how players should be, how they should act, how they should, treat their organizations. And if things don't go their way, they have a way of getting out the narrative that this person or that person is a bad fit or was a cancer to the team or whatever the case may be. So they've always controlled that narrative. And I think Draymond and a lot of us, we understand that we would love to have change. We want change. We not even want change. We just want people to understand that it's two sides of the coin. It's not just one-sided.
So LeBron is definitely a little bit more careful with his words, like I mentioned before. Draymond, I think, was a lot more pointed and a lot more direct, but LeBron is basically the face of the league right now, so I understand why he was being a little bit more careful with what he was saying. Jackie, how do you feel about LeBron's take on all of this?
I think he was strategic in what he was saying, but I think he was in agreement. I think he was very much in agreement with what Draymond was saying. And he's right. The league does control the narrative. They get to say you have to act a certain way at all times, but we don't have to subscribe to that. So I think that is a very politically correct way of saying Draymond was right. And, you know, I don't know. LeBron might be thinking the same thing I said yesterday. Like, yeah, he's right, but what's the point in bringing it up? It's not going to change. This is just the way it's going to be. There's no, you know, there'll never come a time where they don't disrespect somebody enough to make them change clothes and sit on the sideline or snatch them off a bus or something like that. Those things are not going to change. So what are we talking about right now? I mean, like Britt said yesterday, unless we're going to go back and contractually make it change, which I think is frustrating, that you have to contractually get people to show the same amount of respect that they demand from you. That's ridiculous. But it's not going to change. So, you know, be strategic about what you say, but Draymond is 100% right.
And then, Britt, what are your thoughts on the double standard that LeBron and Draymond are talking about?
Like I said yesterday, I don't disagree with what Draymond said at all. Like, I totally know and I understand it. And I agree with it, but the whole thing is, well, what's the point of saying it if you're not doing anything about it, or you can't do anything about it? And then the fact, I guess the point of the controlling the narrative obviously has been very true up until I think now, because Draymond also did not get fined yesterday for what he said, or from what he said a couple nights before. And LeBron's not going to get fined for what he said yesterday. So I think that obviously now, because just of the change of social media and players just realizing that they are the league more now than ever, I think that they are kind of helping us see their side of it, like what LeBron was really asking for yesterday. He just wanted people to understand their side of it. And I think more now than ever we do. Like, obviously there's still fans that burn jerseys when players, you know, decide what they want to do in free agency, which is, I always thought was stupid. I think people go wherever you want to go wherever you feel comfortable going. Like, why are you mad that somebody wants to go somewhere else and win and do whatever he wants? Because you're not going to be mad at a team when they end up trading the same dude for, you know, another guy. Like, we talked so much about when DeMar DeRozan literally stayed with the Toronto Raptors and did everything he could, took a pay cut, did all this stuff because he wanted to win in Toronto and he loved Toronto so much, to only turn around and get traded for Kawhi Leonard and Danny Green, and they go on and win a championship that very year, you know? So, like, I understand that narrative very well, and I think the majority of us do, but obviously you are still going to have fans that are ignorant and don't understand that. But I think because of social media and because we're seeing how these players feel when they get traded, how sad they are. Like, we remember DeMar DeRozan really sad about that trade and stuff like that. And we're starting to see that side of it now. And the media, you know, is starting to actually talk about that kind of stuff. I think that we are seeing it now more than we ever have, which is why I kind of was like, well, Draymond, I don't necessarily like agree that it's just this thing that we don't, I mean, we understand that these people, well, I understand, I guess I can't speak for everybody, but I understand that these guys have families, and it is like Harrison Barnes getting traded mid-game is crazy to me. Like, I don't think stuff like that should happen, and I do think that's the wrong way to go. Going all the way back to my Dallas Cowboys, I remember when Terrell Owens literally sat down with Jerry Jones for lunch, and Jerry said, I am not going to trade you. You are going to stay with the team. What happened to Terrell Owens? He was gone within 24 hours of that lunch. So, like, yes, that kind of stuff is disrespectful, and it is hard to, like, say, like, a team should, it's sad that a team should have to have a contract and be put into contract saying, hey, before you decide to trade me, have a conversation with me first. That should be just common sense stuff, but it's not, and it hasn't been forever. Like, which is why we continue to see these same storylines. So yes, I do think if you guys do want it to change, it is something that you're going to have to put in a contract, because a lot of owners are not nice people, you know, like they're not like the greatest guys, and they're going to do what's best for their business. And a lot of times, a lot of it is shady and it's under the rug stuff. And obviously now we're starting to see that same energy with players and talking in hallways at all-star games saying, hey, I'm about to come play with you. That's the same stuff that owners have been doing for years. And now players have caught on to it and starting to do that themselves. And we want to bash the players for it. As far as the James Harden thing, I still stand by, I think that James Harden did it wrong. I don't think that that was a good example for Draymond to bring up the James Harden thing, because I personally feel like the way James Harden went about it was a bad situation, because he was disrespecting his teammates at that point. It had nothing to do with the ownership anymore. He got to a point where he was disrespecting his own teammates. His teammates came out and said that and felt that. And so I don't think that that was, that kind of like rubbed me the wrong way as far as Draymond's point is concerned. And I think a lot of people probably felt that energy from it. Like, wait, James Harden, we all know James Harden did it the wrong way.
Right. And, you know, with the James Harden thing, I just want to add, because, yeah, he did say that, like, he was, what was the words that he used? I'm looking for it right now. But something like
castrated.
When James Harden, castrated.
Yeah,
it's like,
said he was castrated.
James Harden he really did do it wrong. He got an attitude. He was not trying as hard.
But to be fair. To be fair, he started that situation somewhat right. He said, I want to trade. And he started it right. And then when it started to look like Houston was like, nah, bro, we hold all the cards. when they started to act like that, he started to act out. Very childish, I'll give you that. He acted out based on them acting out. And I think all of us are in agreement on that one, that no, he did not do it right. But he did say up front, I wanted to trade. And that's the thing, like, organizations have to decide what they want to do. When a player tells you that they want a trade and they don't want it, I personally am very anti anybody being in my life that don't want to be there. And I think I would be the same way with an organization, because then they become toxic, which is exactly what James Harden became in very epic fashion. So for me, even if I don't know what I'm going to do as an organization, I'm probably not going to allow him the opportunity to cause that kind of strife in my organization. Like, okay, I don't know if we're going to trade you, but I need you to just stay away until we figure it out. I'm not going to wait till the 11th hour when he's insulted everybody and damn near Mother Teresa to say, okay, now let me really look into this. I'm going to keep him away from my organization until I know for sure.
Yeah, but James Harden was so confused in the fact that he said, I want to be traded unless we can get John Wall on the team.
John Wall.
Okay, we'll give you John Wall. They gave him John Wall, and then he's like, well, actually, I still want to be traded. Like, so I think the confusion of James Harden was the problem, because yes, he did say he wanted to trade, but he also said he would stay if he got X, Y, and Z. They gave him X, Y, and Z, and he's like, nope, I still don't want to stay here. So it was like, everything he did was just wrong. That's we could talk it for an hour about James Harden.
Yeah. Right. And he would probably love that too.
Right. He would probably love that. I do think that across multiple sports leagues, we are seeing athletes come into their power. They're starting to stand stronger with their voices, and I think that's amazing. There is still a lot of room for improvement. There's still a long ways to go. But Britt, I do see what you're saying with that. Like, athletes are realizing their power. But I also think that there needs to be some sort of overhaul, some sort of like systemic change that happens with the NBA so that players don't feel like there is this double standard. But let's move on, okay? Let's talk about Deshaun Watson. We've been discussing him for a long time now, but the Carolina Panthers are reportedly willing to go all in for Deshaun Watson. The Panthers reporter David Newton said they are a potential landing spot, and he talked about what the franchise would be willing to include in a trade package for the quarterback. So he said this, quote, the Panthers will do whatever it takes to get Deshaun Watson, and that includes giving up 3 first-round draft picks and Christian McCaffrey. Owner David Tepper wants to win a Super Bowl. He's made that clear. He understands it takes a marquee quarterback to do that. If you look at recent history outside of Patrick Mahomes, the quickest way to do that is to trade for a marquee quarterback and not draft one in the first round. Just ask Tampa Bay. What he isn't acknowledging there is that when the Tampa Bay Buccaneers signed Tom Brady, he also brought Gronk over, which definitely bolstered up the roster quite a bit. And it kind of all fell into place there. But so the Panthers did sign Christian McCaffrey to a 4-year contract extension before last season, but he dealt with injuries all of last year. They also had signed Teddy Bridgewater in the offseason, but the team has shown that they're ready to move on from him. So now they have their sights set on Deshaun Watson. Britt, do you think the Panthers would be a good landing spot for Deshaun Watson? How do you like this for him?
No, because the biggest reason with the Houston Texans is they got rid of all of his weapons, and they will be doing the same thing with the Panthers. You cannot give up 3 first-round picks, and you cannot give up Christian McCaffrey. Like, I'm sorry, like a guy that is one of the best hybrid players in the game, 1,000 receiving and 1,000 rushing yards in the same season, which is why he's very highly paid. Yes, he suffered through injuries, but nothing that's going to actually sideline him forever. Like, he is literally built like a horse. That man is going to come back stronger, bigger, faster than he was before. He's still a very young player. You do not give up a guy like that to add Deshaun Watson to a situation that, okay, now Deshaun Watson is in the same position where he does not have any weapons again. Like, that just doesn't make sense to me. I do not like this idea. I don't think, obviously, this would be great for the Texans, because the Texans have talked a million times about they are trying to rebuild. Getting 3 first-round picks would be great for their organization. Getting Christian McCaffrey would be great for their organization. And they don't really care to have, like, necessarily a star player or a star quarterback right now, because they don't need to win right now, and they're probably not going to win right now. So they're not really worried about, like, drafting, a top quarterback in either this year or a future year's draft or whatever. So I think this is great, would be great for the Texans, but as far as me being a Deshaun Watson fan, I do not want to see him in this situation with the Panthers where he's now honestly probably even in a little bit worse situation than he currently is with the Houston Texans.
Yes.
And Jackie, I'd like to hear your thoughts on that too. But first, how do you feel about this statement that was made that the way to win is to trade for a marquee quarterback rather than a draft pick? Do you think that that's true?
I mean, you can have the best quarterback in the world. If he doesn't have anybody to throw it to, what does it amount to? You know, so it's like Britt said, you have to build it's like having a state-of-the-art car with a dope engine and no wheels. I mean, you got to make it make sense, you know? So no, that doesn't make sense to me. And, you know, I can't see Deshaun wanting this because Deshaun sees the situation as it is. And that's been a snowball that's just been building up momentum. First you trade away my weapons and then you say I can be brought in and then you don't bring me in. And it's just a lot. And I just don't see him going to an organization that's starting out in that exact same way. So Texans, I'm a push for it though, just because I'm trying to get my organization right.
And what are both of your takes on the fact that the Panthers are so quickly ready to get rid of someone who was once the highest paid running back ever? Do you think that that's like, is that a sign of just how things are running with that team? Britt, what are your thoughts on that?
Obviously, we're in a new era for the Panthers. You know, Ron Rivera left and they have a whole new, you know, situation over there as of this year, including, you know, it started with getting rid of Ron and then getting rid of Cam Newton and then moving down. Like, that's totally different. Deshaun Watson Tom Brady was also able to bring in not just Gronk. He brought in, you know, Antonio Brown. He was able to kind of build the team. Bruce Arians let him decide how they were going to run the offense. Bruce Arians literally said, I just sat back and let Tom coach. Bruce said that with his own his lips or whatever. He said that exactly. So unless the Panthers want and believe that a young Deshaun Watson is able to do that at this point in his career, I just don't see why that would make sense and why you would think that you could be exactly like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and in the first year, let's just switch and get another quarterback and win a Super Bowl with it. Like, that just doesn't make sense. Deshaun Watson is not a guy that can build a team right now, and he has not studied the game for 20 years in order to do that, and won 6 Super Bowls already before that time. Like, they're literally trying to copy Tampa Bay, but like so off. Like, you guys are so wrong, and your approach to it doesn't even make sense.
Yeah, I think Tampa Bay lucked out with what they were able to do in getting Tom Brady, who we have now all agreed is like the GOAT of the NFL, and he was able to bring over his own personal weapon in Gronk, so it is a different story there. Jackie, what is your take on the fact that the Panthers are willing to part ways with their highest paid running back ever? Do you agree with Britt?
I agree with Jay in the chat. That was my exact thoughts. I don't think Christian should have ever gotten that money. I like Christian, don't get me wrong, but at the time that he got that contract, he was not the best running back in the league. So he was the best weapon on that team. So, you know, it makes sense. But I also think that sometimes getting away from a situation is just better for you. And maybe, you know, like Britt said, if you're doing a full overhaul on your team, sometimes you just need a fresh look. That's not to take away from the talent of Christian. And it might actually work out in his favor to just be somewhere else, to see, you know, someone else believe in you in a different type of way. So it might work out for him as well. But I mean, at this point, I think the Panthers are just trying to do what Britt said, like they're trying to get this magic stick thing going on. And I'm not mad at that either. You know what I mean? You've been in this rut for a while. And so now you're trying to get out of that. But I don't think, my only problem with this situation is I don't know if they have any direction. I don't know if they have a solid plan as to what they wanted to do. If I could step back and say, oh, okay, I see the plan, then I could co-sign on this a little bit easier. Right now, they're just saying, oh, well, this might work. Let's just try it, you know? And so that's kind of where, you know, I fall in with them. So they don't have a plan that's going to work. And like my dad always says, if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. So I'm not a fan of what they're doing over there.
Honestly, that's what happens when you hire a head coach that should not have been a head coach right now. Like, yes, he did great when he was with Baylor, but he proved nothing to get that job to be a coach. They just wanted to pass over all the black coaches and hire Matt in that situation. But that's what happens. That is what happens.
Yep.
And now they're
Jab,
in a
love
position
it.
where they're just throwing things against the wall to see what sticks.
I love it.
I think you guys are absolutely right when you say there isn't really a plan in place right now for them. And we'll see what happens, you guys. But for now, let's wrap up Need to Know News. Jackie, can you take us into the post-up?
I can. I'm ready. I got my jab hands up. I'm ready. So let's get into this post-up because I was ready to jab all of y'all that was talking about my boy Kyrie. I feel like the more y'all hate on Kyrie, the more I love him because y'all be doing the absolute most. You guys know, well, maybe you don't know. Maybe you don't follow him on social media, but Kyrie is really big on his Native American culture just as much as he is on his African American culture. So I am a big Kyrie fan except for that boat situation. Outside of that, I'm a huge fan of Kyrie. And so he showed up to the game. Take a look. I want you to see how he walked in. You know, first of all, I love it because I think immediately I knew what it was. It's a praying / walking stick. It's huge in Native American culture. You've probably seen it at some point in some fashion if you've ever come across a Native. But y'all just went ahead and y'all started clowning him. I'm just gonna post one. I'm gonna show you one clown because I see you in the chat saying, who is Kyrie? Don't play. I will come for you. Don't play. So it said, Fast Break said, Kyrie's walking stick is killing me. And there happened to be a lot of people that were making jokes about it, like, oh, name me Kyrie's stick, and why does he need a walking stick, and blah, 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 blah. But I'm not going to get to those. I'm going to get to the ones that actually got it. So let's get into this next user because I'm just not here for the clowning. It's actually dope that he's doing this. It says, y'all not going to let that man represent his culture in peace? Apparently not. Apparently not, because y'all be talking trash. But it is. Now, when y'all got mad at him saging, that's also a part of that same culture. And I had never in my life thought about saging my workplace until I saw Kyrie. And guess what I did the next day? I got like 5 jobs, y'all, so it's not this job. So one of my other jobs, I saged the job. And you know what? It's been slightly better ever since. So I am good with that. Let me show you one more user, though. I think I got 2 more, maybe, that was with it. And actually, I love this because they actually did some research to pull it up. It said Kyrie Irving's prayer stick used before the game came in many shapes and sizes. A cursory look at Etsy, and I found these prayer sticks are featured in funeral rites and observances, healing or cleansing prayers and blessing. I knew the healing and cleansing. I didn't know the funeral. See what happens when you don't just try to clown somebody and you try to learn some stuff. Shout out to y'all. I appreciate that because I actually learned something on that one. So before I get to this next one, because I know y'all going to try to figure out a way to make a King James joke, and I'm just going to kind of get in front of that right now and let y'all know right now that I actually really, 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 really love Anthony Edwards. And I had done this whole thing on another podcast where I talked about how dope he is and how I think he's a future leader. So I'm going to show you this because he's 19 years old and he took it upon himself to say, you know what? Ricky Rubio's out here. He's having a tough time. He's not playing well. I'm going to encourage not only him, but my other teammates. So I just want you to see this little clip from him saying what he was doing to help encourage Ricky Rubio.
Me, and I feel like I'm the life of the team as far as, spirit. I come in practice, happy, loud every day because I'm young. I got so much energy. And I just feel like guys like Ricky, he always give me advice. So I like even though he don't think he's been shooting well, I'm happy he's shooting the ball. And I try to give him as much confidence, same as J.O., same as Vando. I try to give everybody as much confidence as I can because if I believe in you, I feel like if I believe in you so much, you wouldn't want to let me down or let the team down. So I feel like they'll try their best to make it.
Oh, Anthony! Oh, I just love him so much. Oh, I'm definitely a fan. I had to throw that in there because that's such an admirable thing to me to see him. He's 19 and he's like, no, I'm going to lift up my squad. That's what I'm going to do. So believe it or not, his excitement after this little shot does not bother me at all because of how much I love Anthony. So take a look.
Has LeBron on him. Edwards for the 3, and that's a big moment for the rookie to hit a 3 with LeBron guarding him.
He will always remember that.
Look at his face.
Lined up. Sometimes just shooting it's the better choice.
He loved that.
I was saying, yes, he was like, LeBron, did you see me? He just reminds me of that, did you see me? I was like, yes, Anthony, I saw you, baby. I saw you.
It was so
no, I wasn't mad. Yes, his whole face.
I did like the story on this for our stand-up, which will air after the show, but like he had, a career high. He had 28 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists or whatever. And I literally said at the very end, he was probably like showing off for LeBron James, like, because he was just a little kid when like LeBron even got into the league, like barely born, LeBron could technically be his daddy, like, and he was probably so excited in this moment. And that little cheese is just everything. Like, I love Anthony.
Yes, love him to death. And I just love how he looks back at, I see finally she's on the simp train. Yay. It's easy to simp for him because even how he looked back at LeBron was like, I was like, okay, Anthony, you my guy. I can't even trip. But this next one though, I can trip on because something is wrong with the people at Clutch Point sometimes because I do not understand this. They posted this to their Twitter page. So I want y'all to take a look. Says, looks like D'Angelo Russell, Brandon Ingram, Julius Randle, and Jordan Clarkson found their recipe for success. If you're the Lakers, do you regret letting these guys go? No, we won the chip. So there's that. This only got like one comment. I'm going to show you the one comment that it received because it makes sense. It goes, it was the only way to get LeBron and AD. This was in the works ever since Magic came in. Lakers never about developing talent. We win chips. Case closed. Yes, I agree with that 100%. But I'm going to have to take the Lakers out of it because it's kind of dumb when you think about the Lakers with it. So let's just overall, do you think when teams just decide to abandon young talent, like, for example, if they abandon, well, that's a horrible example because I don't see that happening. But if a team abandons young talent, Britt, do you think it's bad or do you think that they should try to develop that talent or should getting the championship be the ultimate goal?
I mean, it just depends on, the coach and the coach's like ability in himself. Like, obviously there's coaches that I think are great coaches at bringing out talent. Phil Jackson is one of them. Mark Jackson is one of them. And there's coaches like Steve Kerr that kind of just come in and win and literally only win with the team that Mark Jackson built. Yes, I will say that again and again and again because it's true. But there are just different types of coaches. So I think if a coach can truly look at himself and say, hey, am I a coach that can develop talent and end up having this team that is going to be like a legacy team like, the Bulls were with Phil Jackson? Or am I going to be a coach that just needs to hurry up and go in and win something real quick because I'm not the coach that, can develop players and bring out the best in players. And I see that this team might have a certain amount of players. And if I could just switch these young guys out and bring in like one more good guy, we're for sure in to win, So I think you really got to look at the coach. Greg Popovich is another one that's great at building and producing talent and stuff like that. So I think that is like the key, depending on who the coach is and depending on what you can pull out of a team and what your capabilities are and aren't and your strengths and your weaknesses are and aren't. I think that's what it depends on. So a GM, obviously a president, obviously would recognize that in a coach and be like, listen, this is something that we need to capitalize on now, or this is something that we need to build out so then we could have, a future dynasty or something in the future.
Yeah, and I don't know if the Lakers are a good example because the Lakers historically are a winning franchise that have been losing for quite some time. So then they were like, okay, enough, we got to figure this out.
Yeah, and Phil
so
Jackson
they were just
the last little bit of winning there. Yeah.
Yeah. So they were like, okay, let's do what we do. So yeah, I see you in the chat though. Robert Anderson said that they regret letting Ingram go. At least they would be a better team with Ingram versus Kuzma. I just don't know how I feel about that because one little off thing changes the chemistry. I think Brandon would be dope, but I'm not going to question it. We got the chip.
Well, and then you don't get Anthony Davis, if you didn't get rid of Brandon Ingram, you don't get Anthony Davis.
Yep, exactly. So it all worked out for the good. So I'm just going to leave it at that. Now, let's see. Before we get into this next one, this user posted this, and I just want to ask you really quick in the chat because I feel like maybe it's just me. Are y'all on Reddit? Do y'all participate in, visit often, give a damn about what happens on Reddit? Because I have never been on Reddit. There's a few times that I have Googled something and something pops up on Reddit and then I just bow out of it because I'm like, no. But this user posted this to his Twitter where he said the NBA Reddit. Now, I know there's a Knicks Reddit, and I know that from CK2K, but apparently there's an NBA Reddit as well, and he went out and posted some stuff. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be honest, from looking at these posts, my Reddit days are not going to start. I'm not going to start being on Reddit because this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. So let's just take a look at some of these right now. Let's get this first one up. Leo, so this one says, serious question. The fact that you started off with serious question is a problem. Can't 4 Warriors starters lock arms and form a ring around Steph so he can take open shots? Serious question. Okay, let's get to the next one. Let's get to the next one because that again was a serious question. They just keep getting better. Okay, so look. What happens if LeBron is thrown outside of the bubble by an opponent? For an example, if the BUCS and Lakers are playing in the finals, what happens if the Lopez brothers break into LeBron's room, pick him up, and carry him to the edge of the bubble and throw him out? Let's get to this next one. Let's get to this next one. Okay. Now keep in mind, this is not helping your Reddit case. Is it legal for players to kiss as a strategy? It's an off-season question, but I'm serious. Again, you're serious. Let's say it's a finals, game 7 in crunch time. If LeBron starts kissing Kyrie, not a single defender will be watching the ball. I'm never getting on Reddit, like ever. I'm never getting on Reddit. This is the most ridiculous thing I have ever seen. So I'm going to ask again in the chat, if you've never been on Reddit, please let me know if you are inspired to do so now, because I am not. Now, let's move on to this next one, because yes, go ahead, Devyn.
I just want to say, with that Warriors one where the guys are locking arms, he ends his post by saying, why don't the Warriors do this? Is Steve Kerr an idiot? And I like that that's the jump that he makes. Like, after coming up with this bizarre plan, the question is Steve Kerr an idiot for not thinking of this first? This makes me want to get on NBA Reddit. I know you didn't ask me, but I just wanted to say, because I want to see what other weird, crazy stuff people say. I think I'm going to check it out after the show. Let's move on.
No, Devyn, I think that you should, because you made it to the end of that. You read that whole thing. And you should definitely get on Reddit, because I could not make it through all that stupidity. I couldn't do it. So yes, you should get on Reddit.
I will, for you. I'll do it.
Thank you. And just let me know. Just let me know. All right. So as much as I don't like Reddit, I think this next one is just as dumbfounding to me, because I hate when people waste money. I live in Hollywood, and it's crazy to me that you are paying rent and you got a $150,000 car in the parking lot. You're paying rent. But again, I just don't like people wasting money. That's just me. So this person, I believe, lives in an apartment and has a $150,000 car in the parking lot, because explain this to me. This is a bettor in Vegas that dropped $10,000 on the Wizards to win. If it would have been a period after that, I'd have been like, okay, they'll win a game. No, win the NBA title. Britt, can you help me make this mix? Oh yeah, the payout would be $5 million. I know you read the whole thing, Devyn. I usually stop at stupid on these kind of posts. Yes, they would win $5 million, but the Wizards are dead last. Make it make sense.
Give me 10K. Give me 10K, and I will get you a $100 ring that says NBA champion Wizards on it. You know, like whatever you want. Yep. I'll get you a t-shirt made that say the Wizards won the championship in 2021. Whatever you want, just give me the 10K, because you're throwing away money now. Like, you're just giving it out, you know, like you just gave it to the booker or the bookie for free. You just gave the bookie money. So why not give me something?
I would love to find out. Right. I would love to find out that this is a guy that planned on spending $100, and maybe he was a little tipsy and just was like, and just pressed the button too many times. Now that would be funny. That would be funny. But if you did this on purpose, I don't know. I got issues. But this next one is a little off to me as well, because during the Super Bowl, we know that the Chiefs, their starting left tackle, Eric Fisher, he had an Achilles, and then Mitchell Schwartz was already injured, and then they had a few people. I don't know if it was one or two people. They had at least one person that was out on their offensive line because of COVID. So that's like 3 people on their offensive line that are out. But Devyn doesn't want to hear it. Devyn's like, I don't care. That's you're not going to use no excuses like that. Your coach should have made some changes. So look at this post as to what he said about KC and that situation. And he says, we knew that they was going to be a cocky team. They played right into our hands. So how was they cocky? Was they cocky? I don't really know that the Chiefs were cocky. I think that they was hyping each other up, which we didn't see in the Super Bowl. But let's check out what these fans have to say about it, because this is funny to me. It says, Andy Reid had 2 weeks to prepare and still left his tackles on an island. Poor coaching on his part. You got a TE who can't block to save his life. That's actually factual. Okay, so now that is more to Devyn's point. And then this next one, we have to talk about these fans, because I don't know. It says Chief fans are the most cocky fan base after winning their 1 ring in over 30 years. Now football, the GOAT, and the BUCS humbled y'all, and Chiefs fans want to point to the finger. LOL. Kiss all 7 of them rings. Are we in agreement with that, Britt? Are Chiefs fans a little cocky because they was already okay? She said, yeah, she was.
I said that at the beginning. That's why I said I didn't want the Chiefs to win, because they're fans, and the situation they had at the beginning of the year with the booing and the whatever. Like, Chiefs fans were real cool last year in that AFC Championship game when they hadn't won nothing yet. Soon as they won something, Chiefs fans got brand new on everybody and started big leaguing everybody, and I was not here for it. Goodbye.
I have to admit, though, because I only know one Chiefs fan, and I've talked to you guys about him several times on this show and how I be ducking and dodging him because all he talks about is how great the Chiefs fans are. So that's only one guy, but based on what Britt says in that tweet, he falls in line with these cocky Chiefs fans. So, all right, let me get into this last one, because this last one I think is fantastic because, or do I have one more? I might have one more after this. But this Eli Manning thing is funny to me because Eli you barely would know that this man is in trouble except for the slight little at the end. I'm not even going to tell you what's happening. Just take a look. It is hilarious.
This is what I
don't know if that was his dad in the background or who that was, but I don't know if you heard him say, he's like, you was a little too slow there, guy. You was a little too slow. Like, no sympathy, just a little too slow.
Background. Come on, right. Son. You ain't never gonna be like your brother Peyton. Come on.
Right.
I'm sorry, Eli. I always be making fun of Eli, but he's just such a fun punching bag. I am so sorry, Eli.
He is. And then if he was here, he would just be like, his face wouldn't change.
Have you ever seen Napoleon Dynamite? That is Eli Manning. Yeah. Like,
gosh,
freaking idiot.
Right. Look, the funny thing is on Twitter, where I found this on Twitter, there was only one comment, and it's a pissed off Patriots fan who says, now he wants to fall down. Couldn't have fallen down in 2008. You still holding on to 2008? Why are you still holding on to 2008, my guy? That is hilarious. Okay, now this next one is going to explain all. Well, at least it should for those of y'all who have eyes, because I'm glad we have a little time to look at this and we can talk about the topic, but I just want y'all to see the visuals of this. That's the most important thing. But LeBron James has talked about these tryouts that he potentially had, and he said that he would have made the team in 2011 for either the Cowboys or the Seahawks. If LeBron James was a Cowboy right now, I would still be a Cowboy fan. There is no question in my mind. I would still be rocking with the Cowboys, but that did not happen. So here we are. But I want you to see this first game. That's like a flag football game with him, Kevin Durant, and a couple other guys. Baptism of the King. Check it out.
We got a shootout in our hands.
I think you're right. Durant
he
looks.
Pumps. Brown with another
that
pick.
interception.
Is he going to go to the house? Is he going to the house?
He steps back. He looks left. He's looking into the corner of that end zone. They leap, and it is caught. Touchdown for Team Durant. None other than the captain, coach himself.
There's one more touchdown.
Durant on the alley-oop pass over LeBron James. What a touchdown reception. It'll be 1st and 10. Durant back to pass. He's looking across the middle. He finds the other Durant. Oh, my. You can kiss this one goodbye.
Let's not say that.
That's when both of them still had hair.
You predicted the big play.
Exactly. This is so long ago. Yep. KD, you can't see KD's scalp. You can't see LeBron's scalp.
Yeah.
That lets you know how long ago that was.
Right.
But let me show you this next one, because I love this next one because he has Frank Vogel and all the guys out there doing these football drills, and LeBron is just a straight specimen. Let me show y'all this one.
It has?
Look at that.
LeBron look like he getting ready for season, bro.
Hey!
Left foot. Get to that white line, drive off your left.
LeBron out here doing all. Now, would you be a LeBron fan if he played for the Dallas Cowboys, Britt?
Like today, we are supposed to be talking about Michael Jordan, not
yes. I have an answer. I have an answer for that as to why I showed it today instead of tomorrow, is because I don't care that it is Michael Jordan's birthday. I am all about the GOAT at all times.
Yes, I would be a LeBron fan. Cowboys, of course. Come on. If he played for the Clippers, I would start liking LeBron James.
Oh, well, no, that's not going to happen. So, okay.
And you would be a Clipper fan too, Jackie. What?
I would. I would be mad about it, but I would.
Hey,
I'm not going to front. I would.
The Lakers too, but you got over it.
I was.
You got over it.
I got a whole wall now. So clearly I would get over it. All right, y'all. That's all I got for the post up. That was a fun one for sure. This next one is going to be kind of fun as well, because it's always fun for me to say that Atlanta got a mayor named Keisha. Just Keisha. I just love saying that so much. It just warms my heart. Mayor Keisha Bottoms, though, she is trying to send a message to you. I was going to call y'all a word that I probably shouldn't call on the show. Instagram for hire, you young ladies out here looking for that anchor baby to that NBA money. She's got a message for y'all. She's got a message for people like me who's going to try to just get out. If I could, if it was open, I would be going. Not it's open, but if the players were going to be out, I would be trying to find a way to just be like, hi, LeBron, take a picture with me. That would be me. But she has got a message for everyone, and she doesn't want y'all coming to Atlanta. I feel like every couple days, though, somebody throws up a message, don't come to Atlanta because the traffic's getting bad. But Keisha posted this up, and she said, under normal circumstances, we'd be grateful for the opportunity to host the NBA All-Star Game, but this isn't a typical year. I've shared my concerns with the NBA and the Atlanta Hawks and agreed this is a made-for-TV event only, and people should not travel to Atlanta to party. So obviously, that seems like a given for those of us who kind of understand the science of the whole thing. But a lot of people are not really into that. And I think that the fact that we're having this NBA All-Star thing is a fiasco, and they've cut the days back. So they were supposed to get an extra day. Now they're going to actually have to go back as early as March 10th. Some teams are going to have to play. This is ridiculous. Now, usually, you guys know All-Star Weekend includes a lot of parties that people are trying to get into. You have to get on those lists for those parties very, very early. But this year event is going to be pretty much contained. Players won't even be allowed to participate in those extracurriculars. They have to go straight back to the hotel. But again, this is her thought. She doesn't want people to travel. She also said that there's going to be no sanctioned events open to the public, and that the city's encouraging local businesses to not host events and or stay closed. So she's trying her best, but I can tell you now, the turn up is going to be very, very real in Atlanta. And I completely agree with her that it shouldn't be, but this is a big thing. In Atlanta, this is this Atlanta had Freaknik for a long time. If y'all don't know what that is, Google that. They are all about that turn up life. And I know a lot of people are going to be down there. But some of y'all got my girl Keisha wrong. And this is the only part. I know she's doing this to try to do the right thing. Deep down inside, I think she knows it's going to work. But at least don't fault her for something she didn't do. So one Twitter user posted this to her page and basically about this and said, at this point, these are just empty sound bites. You mean to tell me you trust the words of the mayor that allowed this to happen? And he shows all these parties and stuff that happened shortly after Atlanta reopened. So what we not going to do is talk bad about my girl Keisha, because Keisha tried to have y'all in full on, Walking Dead lockdown out there. And your Governor Kemp, was like, nah, Keisha, we can't do that. So he's the one that opened it up. So you're not going to throw my girl under the bus like that. But I did see this tweet that I was like, okay, now this is a valid point. So I want to share this one with you, because this user says, this is BS. I was just in ATL at the World Congress Center for 3 days with tens of thousands of people from across the U.S. at the largest cheerleading event in the country, and we weren't even asked to stay away. It only matters when it's a high profile and they can get attention. So I looked it up. That convention center holds 71,000 people. 40,000 people attended this event that she's talking about. And Varsity Spirit, who hosted the event, made everybody sign waivers that basically said enter at your own risk. If you're not doing what you're supposed to do, or somebody else isn't doing what they're supposed to do, and you get COVID, that's on you. So she's right. I don't know if even Keisha knew about this, because this isn't even something that I knew of until I was researching about this whole situation. But I do think when you're talking about a national event, yes, it's going to get attention because it's bigger, because the bigger it is, the more people want to come. And I just don't see any Instagram models coming to no cheerleading event trying to drop it like it's hot to get the attention of some cheerleader. I just don't see it. So this is a totally different situation. I think that that's why this one didn't go down like that. But Britt, I heard you over there kind of giggling inside like I am. Do you think that there's a chance in hell that Keisha's warning is going to stop people from coming to Atlanta? Nope.
No, and honestly, I used to live in Atlanta, and honestly, Keisha, I don't even think that you're trying at this point, because you could have shut down that city a long time ago and kept it closed, and you did not do that. I know friends that work in Atlanta, and I've seen pictures of, like, I know every business is like, oh, don't post pictures inside, because they don't want us to, everybody else in the world, to see what's going down in Atlanta. But it will be so many people. They just had the Barner's hair show or whatever, Barner Brothers hair show, like a month ago in Atlanta. Crazy packed. There were like literally, because obviously that's a hair show. So there were, my friend works at a club that is a gay club. Not a mask in sight, shoulder to shoulder, packed in crazy. Like, and this is, again, that was the hair show. They had the cheer competition, which Varsity did this actually last summer too, and nobody made a comment about it, but they did it in Florida last year, and now it's in Atlanta. And she's not said anything about any of these other events. She has the right to shut these down and not even let them happen, but she's continued to let all this stuff happen. Restaurants have been open this whole time, indoor stuff, no masks, mandates on stuff. And
yeah.
And I think she literally just the NBA. What is she saying? She talked to the NBA and she could shut that down. You're the mayor of the city. You could say, actually, no, NBA, you're not allowed to have this event here. I don't know what she's.
But the governor has when she tried that. Now she might have just given up and said, you know what, screw it. You know, Governor Kemp's gonna get on me. She tried that before, and Governor Kemp damn near sued her and was like, if you continue with this, we're gonna continue with legal action, but you have to open the city up.
We live in California, so even though our governor might have more lax stuff, if Eric Garcetti says LA shut down, there's not going to be an argument. So I forget, we have common sense people here in California. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's still Georgia, so let's not forget that. All right,
I
forgot. All right, that's all I got for what we're not going to do.
I forgot that they normally don't have common sense.
And you remember how hard that was? Remember how long that took? Right. It's still Georgia. Let me get my girl Devyn up here and get them vocals ready. Because now it's time for Brit's Takes.
Brit's Takes.
All right, guys, it is time for Brit's Take. This is my final Brit's Take of the week. I will be back next Tuesday for Tag Team Tuesday, though, guys. Don't you worry about it. But today I decided to talk about my boy, Big Ben, because he has been given basically an ultimatum now. According to an insider with the Steelers, of course, it's always an insider that doesn't want to reveal themselves, but they said somebody told ESPN this, and ESPN said this on NFL Live today and said, his options essentially boil down to 2 R's. I have it down here: restructure or retire. The Steelers can save around $14 million if they can restructure his base salary and roster bonus into a signing bonus spread over multiple years. Roethlisberger has signaled that he's willing to take a pay cut, but retirement could still be on the table, especially considering longtime teammate and friend Marquise Pouncey called it a career. We did not really talk about that on this show, but we know the Pouncey brothers, Mike and Marquise, both decided like a week or two ago that they were going to retire. We showed on this channel the video of the Steelers' last game when Big Ben was sitting next to Marquise, and he was telling Marquise, "I'm sorry," because he couldn't, get him to a Super Bowl. Marquise has never won a Super Bowl, and obviously we know his great career that he had as being Big Ben's center for his whole entire career. And unfortunately, he retired without winning anything, but Big Ben is still playing. I know we feel like he's 100 years old, but he's only actually 38 years old, but he has, been a big face in the league for a long time. His this last season, we all know Steelers were tremendous. They ended the season 12-4. In the regular season, they won the AFC North title, but then unfortunately they were unable to make it to the Super Bowl. But I mean, their team was great, and looked so good. And now the question is, what happens with Ben Roethlisberger? So his contract, I love contracts. I'm like obsessed with them. I originally went to college to be a sports agent, so I was a pre-law major, and I love contracts, especially sports contracts. So his contract is very interesting because he's actually, he had signed a 2-year deal, which this would actually be this upcoming season would be his final year of his 2-year deal. And then next year he would be an unrestricted free agent. But his 2-year extension that he had signed with the Steelers, it was funny that the mention of restructuring, because this is actually a restructure, part of a restructure he did a few years ago. So a few years ago, he restructured his contract, which means the money that he was supposed to get, $9 million of it, was actually put into this upcoming season's contract. He is roughly going to be getting about $34 to $37 million. Obviously, it's difference with bonuses, his signing bonuses, the restructured money that he's still due. All of that was put into this $34 to $37 million contract that he is supposed to be getting this year. So 30 years old, if he were to restructure, and then which means that he would be signing another contract extension with the Steelers, that money is just going to get pushed back to a later time, which if you guys don't know, once players decide to retire, their base salary is actually still guaranteed to them. They still get that money, which is why we talked a lot about the Brett Favre situation and how he retired and was still being paid out, but then decided to come out of retirement to play again. So you're kind of holding the team hostage in those moments because they're still paying you part of your contract that you were owed if you would have still been playing. So Big Ben, signing a new contract after this season or before this season starts to then restructure it and push some of the money back again, kind of doesn't seem like it makes like a ton of sense to me. Obviously, they are actually supposed to be meeting next week because they want to get whatever deal that they're going to do, whether it is a retirement situation or a restructured situation, done before the 2021 season opens for the NFL, which if you guys don't know is March 17th, is when that is the first day of the new season. So he wants to get that done because obviously a lot of players, as much as, you don't believe this, they don't want to be a distraction to the team. They don't want to go into this season not knowing if they're going to sign or stay with the team or if whatever's going to happen. Players don't necessarily want that to happen. Agents don't want that to happen. Owners don't want that to happen. But more times than not, we do see situations like, a Le'Veon Bell situation where they are more than midway through the season, and a deal has not been made yet. So Big Ben has made it clear he doesn't want that to happen before the next season starts. But this opens up so many questions. What are the Steelers going to do? Obviously, I don't know if restructuring is like the best situation, obviously, because we do have a season that is opening up where we have quarterbacks that are going to be available for trade talks or different situations. We've talked about Russell Wilson. We've talked about Deshaun Watson. We've talked about other options where coaches, Dak Prescott, unfortunately, could be available at this time. You know, like there are quarterbacks that are seasoned quarterbacks that, you know, the Steelers, obviously, because they were one of the top teams this last season, they do not have a top draft pick. So they are not going to get a great quarterback, you know, and Mike Tomlin even said to what's his name that played at Ohio State? Why can't I think of his name? Because he's oh my gosh, can't even think of his name. Whatever. But anyways, said to a player this year that he was glad that he never wants to be put in a position where he could get a player like that, because that means his team's going to suck. So, and Mike Tomlin has always at least been he doesn't have a lot of losing seasons. Mike Tomlin is a great coach, obviously one of the better coaches in the league, in my opinion. And I don't see the Steelers under Mike Tomlin anytime soon having a losing season to where they would have a chance to get a new quarterback. So is this the time now where Big Ben decides to retire, amicable mutual situation between the team and Big Ben? He retires. He gets paid out the rest, which would only be this year because of that's the end of his technical contract. He would get paid for this season. And then they bring in one of these other guys that, you know, are possibly on the chopping blocks with their team as potential trade options. Like, this is a huge year for the Steelers, and this could literally put the Steelers in a position to win a Super Bowl for this upcoming season, which unfortunately, obviously, for Maurkice Pouncey would suck, because he literally gave everything to the Steelers for his, I think he's been playing since 2010, his 10-11 year career with the team, and to retire. And then obviously the team now win after he leaves. But I really do think the Steelers could actually do something great with this. I do think Big Ben, yes, he is 38 years old. Yes, he had a tremendous season last year. Let's not forget he had over 3,800 yards, 33 touchdowns, only 10 picks. Like, he played great. So if they do continue to keep him on this next year, fine. But because they lost their center in Maurkice Pouncey, I think it's a great opportunity. I feel like centers and quarterbacks are one and the same. They trust and believe each other more than anything. And you have to have a center that knows the seconds of your quarterback, everything they're going to do by the second, can, you know, throw the ball back to him without even glancing, knows every little thing about your quarterback. And I think it might be a time to get a new center in there. I don't think Big Ben's going to play very well with another center. He's had so much chemistry with Pouncey all of these years. It's going to be hard to kind of teach an old dog new tricks. You get a new quarterback in there with a new center and you make magic. And in the next year or two, you could be a Super Bowl contender again. Jackie, I'm going to go to you really quick on this. What are your thoughts about Big Ben? What do you think he should do this year? Should he just restructure his contract, or should he decide to retire and then the Steelers kind of bring in another quarterback? And obviously they have to get another center anyway.
I think there's a lot that Ben would have to consider on a personal level. Obviously, every athlete would rather be physically dragged off the field versus retiring, you know, but yeah, Big Ben takes hits that a lot of quarterbacks don't take. Refs let plays play out a lot longer because he's so hard to bring down. And so he physically is in a different position than I think Tom Brady knows nothing about the kind of pain that Ben Roethlisberger has felt throughout his career. Yeah. He has no idea. And then, you know, like you said, I think that as far as the Dallas Cowboys, I know the offense changed when they got what was the center's name that was super dope that retired a little early? Yeah. Travis Frederick. That changed the whole game for them. So it is one of those things where I'm like, okay, what's more important here? Is it important to restructure? Because I think deep in my heart right now, he's considering restructuring because he's just Big Ben. He's considering restructuring. But I think he also, like you said, doesn't want to be the guy that's a hindrance to his team. So I think he's also thinking, all right, I just sat here and apologized to this man because I didn't get him over to the promised land like I wanted to. And he and I are so close. And I am crying, because he's leaving. Do I even want to try? I mean, and 38's not that old in regular years, but in football years, it's dog years, So do I even want to try at this point?
And in Big Ben years, it's older because it's been hit so much.
Right. It's an old dog, right? Yeah, it's an old dog with like 3 legs, so it's a different situation for him. So I think he has to search his soul and see what he feels, what's best for his family. But on a personal note, I would love to see him restructure his contract because I think he has at least another good 2 years in him. And I think that maybe restructuring his contract and getting the fire there might put something back into him that he can get something. But I think ultimately he will do, because he's not going to go to another franchise. He's not going to see, what's going on anywhere else in the league. He's not going to do that. So it's going to be an either or. So I think he'll consider restructuring, but it's just going to depend on what his family says and what they want him to do.
Do you think if he stays or versus if he goes, that the Steelers would be in a better Super Bowl contending spot? Do you think it matters either way, like depending on who they get?
I don't think that they would immediately be in a Super Bowl contending spot because, like you said, unless it's a situation where you've got a young center and a young quarterback and they just gel and can build that chemistry together, because that's the good thing about having 2 young guys. You don't have to worry about, I've already got my habits. You have to adapt to me. You guys can kind of grow together. So then perhaps that would be a good thing. But ultimately, I think the Steelers organization has they got strong bones over there. They've got a great foundation. So I think you bring somebody in, perhaps you're not a Super Bowl contender immediately, but 2 years, maybe just 2 years, I could see them being a Super Bowl contender. I could still see them being a Super Bowl contender with Big Ben. It just depends on how flexible he is. How much is he willing to change, not with his contract, but whoever this young person is that they bring in.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we will be continuing to talk about it and following this, because if he does decide to retire, that is going to be huge news in the NFL. But that is Britt's take for today. Let me know what you guys think in the comments.
All right. Thank you so much, guys. We're a little bit over, so let's wrap up this show. Don't forget to subscribe, tap the bell for notifications, give this video a thumbs up, leave a comment below, wash your hands, wear a mask, and smile at somebody that you see on the street today. Be a good person.
Don't rub it in, Britt. Don't rub it in.
All right, just us 2 now, Jackie.
I know, right? She's like, I'm Audi 5000, man.